I want to tell you a true story about how an A320 aircraft nearly got intercepted by fighter pilots by making a mistake and how the pilots eventually got their licenses revoked. Aviation is a very hard business, so during those times of crisis, airlines either go bankrupt or they merge. This is what happened to two airlines that merged and became a giant airline. When people from different groups come together, it takes time to gel and cooperate with one another. Anytime when you deal with humans, you have to find some kind of synergy to work together. So, two airlines combine. Some of the operational challenges are the pilot seniority system and the roster patterns. And so, some airlines have this bidding system where you can choose what type of duty you want. Bear in mind that some pilots tend to live out of base and would have to deadhead or travel as a passenger to a certain airport and then fly out from there. So the captain is in his 50s, very experienced guy with 8,897 hours on the AirBoss, and the captain have to travel from Seattle to Minneapolis to operate that flight. First officer who is operating have 4,500 hours on the A320, also in his 50s, and he too had to fly to Minneapolis, but he is from Oregon. So both pilots flew into Minneapolis airport, so the flight of the day is from Minneapolis to San Diego. So the next day, after sufficient rest, the pilots is set to fly back the return leg. 144 passengers on the plane, and the pilots did not set the arrival star for the destination because they were not sure of the runway in use. Once they hit 37,000 feet, which is their cruise altitude, they took up their headsets and they would then listen to ATC clearances from the loudspeaker. So as they were cruising, the pilots then started to discuss about their roster bidding system. Remember, there was a merger and now the new bidding system was rather confusing for the pilots. Both pilots took out their laptops and set it on the AirBoss table. You got to love the table, which is why maybe Boeing is now looking into side stick technology. Maybe I will discuss this in the next video. Maybe. Because both laptops were on the table, there might be a possibility that the laptops were hindering the pilot's view of the instruments. So Denver ATC contacted them at one point to change frequency, but there is no reply. So what is the procedure for loss of communication? According to FAA rules, ATC have to contact the FAA authorities. FAA then have to contact the Domestic Events Network, which consists of FBI, US Department of Defense, and NORAD. After this, fighter jets have to be scrambled to intercept this aircraft. However, for some reason this does not happen. The airline tried to call the pilot on the plane via ACAS and send a few messages. Hey bro, where are you? Pick up the damn phone. So still no answer. Before we continue, do click on the join button to get AirBoss magazine, where I break down past accidents and incidences and recommendations from authorities on how to save yourself. Remember to email me at captain.sq.a320@gmail.com and I will airfly you your copy. And now back to the show. The aircraft reached the top descent point. The aircraft did not descend. The decelerate message came out and the pilots were still busy on their laptops. Once the aircraft arrived at the airport at 37,000 feet, the aircraft flies over the last waypoint and then changes from nav in the FMA to heading mode. Do check out my video on A320 FMA. 12 minutes after they overfly the airport, about 100 miles away from the airport, the cabin crew called the cockpit to ask about the arrival time. At this point, the pilots realized about the mistake they made and contacted ATC on 121.5. ATC was quite apprehensive, thinking that there might be a breach of security in the flight deck. The first officer saw the numerous ACAS message on the EWD but accidentally deleted all of them. Once the aircraft landed safely in Minneapolis, there were law enforcement personnel waiting for them, including the airline management team. The pilots had to take a breathalyzer test to prove that they have not been drinking. The pilots then confessed that they were distracted during the flight and lost their situational awareness. They also used their laptops, in which according to their policy they were not allowed to use. The pilots were stripped of their licenses because of the event, and the captain decided to retire early and the first officer was fired. So the moral of the story is to listen out on clearances given by ATC by making sure you have your headset on and loudspeaker on. Also, it would be best to avoid conversation that makes the pilots to be emotionally invested, because it would take a lot of your brain power and focus away. So take care, fly safe, protect your license. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you in the next video. Bye.